all my friends, or most of my friends today, are elders. All my peers are elders. I just realized now that I'm saying it, I'm 1 year away from being an elder myself. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm going to share a story. I'm going to share a story about the beginning of time. Back in the day when the animals could speak to one another, when we as stamach, as human beings, understood the animals. We could speak to them, we knew them, we could feel them, had the same vibrations. And they lived like we do, together as a community. Well, as all the animals were gathered in the village one time, there was a being that we know today as Seagull. Seagull was a greedy little guy. You know, greed is never a good thing to hold dear to your heart, but Seagull did. And Seagull seen, I'm going to use a Chinook word of Shnookum, the sun. When the animals were speaking to one another in the village, the seagull was looking at the beautiful sun in the sky, feeling that beautiful warmth, sitting out on the beach, enjoying it. And he enjoyed it so much that he wanted it to himself. And so he started creating a big cedar box to hold the sun. And then he went out in front of his longhouse and he started dancing. Hey, hey, hey-oh, hey-oh. Hey, hey, hey-oh, hey-oh. Hey, hey, hey-oh, hey-oh. And he sang that song all day long. Not that song in particular. It could have been. We don't know. But he sang until finally Snookum, the sun, heard and started coming from the sky. But as he came from the sky, he didn't want to burn the inhabitants of Mother Earth, and so he transformed into what we know as the sun eagle. As he flew down from the sky, coming to visit and to listen to that beautiful song that beckoned him. When he got to Seagull's home, Seagull offered him a seat, but it was in the box. As soon as Seagull sat in the box, the lid slammed shut, and the whole world went into darkness. This is where you black out. When the world went into darkness, all the animals were frightful. They worried. They wondered, what are we going to do? And so they gathered in the village, in the longhouse, sat in council and talked about it. Old Grizzly Bear got up and he was like, oh, what are we going to do? We need that beautiful sun so that I could ripen those beautiful berries and I can enjoy my feast. What are we going to do? And even Salmon spoke up. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need that sun to warm the water just to the perfect temperature so I can have my babies. What are we going to do? All of the animals, Chish Chish Nate, the hummingbird, what do we do? What do we do? We need that sun to help the flowers and me when we pollinate them. What do we do? Every single being of Mother Earth had a reason for that sun. Every single being, whether it be one that comes from the ground, underground, one that walks four-legged, the ones that fly or the ones that swim, they all had a reason for needing the sun. And finally, Skalk, who was in the back of the room, stood up and said, "Oh, oh, I can do it. I can bring the sun back to the sky." All the other animals laughed and laughed and laughed because it was just silly old Raven. What's he going to do? Silly old Raven was known as a trickster, as a transformer. He liked to transform things, not only himself, but he'd transform beings, happenings, into other beings or happenings. He would take good and change it to bad. He would take bad and change it into good. This was who Skulk is. And after the laughter subsided, Skulk spoke out and he said, "I know what to do. I'm going to get the sun back and I'm going to show you. You will no longer laugh at me. For we all have reasons to be here. No matter who we are, no matter how small we are, no matter how big we are, strong, weak, it doesn't matter. We all have reasons. Even us human beings, no matter what we look like, have a reason to be here." And so what Raven did was, when he created that box, he offered it to Sun Eagle to have a seat, closed the lid, darkness came. Raven went down to the beach and gathered the sea urchin. Sea urchin, if you don't know, are beautiful, tasty little shellfish that have spikes all over them. I like to call them the porcupine of the sea, but they're very tasty. And Seagull loved them. And so Raven went down to the beach with his basket and he gathered some of the sea urchin from the fast-flowing water, and he brought them up to Seagull's home. But as he went up to Seagull's home, he ate some of them, but he kept the shells with the spikes. He placed them down in front of the door of Seagull's home, and he knocked on the door. "Skulk, who is it?" "It is I, Raven. I bring you a gift of sea urchin." Old Seagull heard that and he was like, went running towards the door and out the door as fast as he could to get the sea urchins. Unbeknownst to him, there was a bunch of them laying on the ground and he stepped on them. "It hurts, brother," he said. "It hurts. Help me, help me." And so Raven picked him up and carried him into the longhouse and put him down beside the fire. Grabbed onto his foot and pulled out his sharp knife and started picking away at it. But Raven, being the tricky little guy, didn't really try to take that spike out of his foot, but just wiggled it around, agitating it, making it more painful. "Ow, ow, 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 ow," said Seagull. "It hurts, brother, it hurts." And so Raven, being the smart one he is, said, "Well, I cannot see, brother. Maybe you could open that box a bit and share some of your beautiful sunlight." And so he opened it a bit. And again, Raven grabbed his foot and he started wiggling it around, not really trying. "Ow, ow, ow," said Seagull. "It hurts, it hurts." And again, Raven, of course, "I cannot see, brother. I cannot see. Maybe share some more of your light." And this continued on a few more times until finally the lid was almost wide open. The last time that Seagull went to adjust the lid on the box, Raven flew by him and grabbed onto Sun Eagle and guided him up through the smoke hole of the longhouse, for the top was open a bit and he seen his opportunity. As he flew up into the sky, taking Sun Eagle back home, Sun Eagle started transforming again. Pretty soon, Raven got charred black, because on that day that this happened, Raven in the morning started out as a white, but he got charred black by Sun Eagle. And so they say the descendants from there on came out as black beings, as the raven we see today. But the Creator wanted to honor the way of beginning of life. And so occasionally we get gifted with the sight of being able to see a white raven, for they're out there. If you're out in the forest and you're not fortunate enough to see the white raven, today with modern technology, Google it. You'll be able to see white raven. This is, again, a short part, a small part of our story. I will continue seeking out the elders' knowledge, trying to bring those connections back to our family that we lost after contact, and trying to bring us full circle once again, so we can share the full story of how Seagull stole the sun. If you go down to the beach, you can still hear Seagull calling and crying away for his son as he lays on the beach. Thank you very much.